Good afternoon, beautiful people of the great southern land, beautiful people of the world. Lucas here, broadcasting live from the Ark Sanctuary. It's a beautiful Ark Sanctuary day here, getting a bit of rain, a bit of water, which is really nice. Always good for the ground, always cleansing, nourishing, you know. Give us a comment, let me know where you are in the world, what's happening where you are. So I see that MelBURNians are going into their 15th month of their free trial of tyranny. I mean, the Great Reset, the New World Order. Welcome to your 15th month. Mask burn, nice one Tariq. Mask burn Melbourne. So I'm wondering how long it's going to take people to wake up to this nonsense. I'm wondering how people are enjoying it. I don't know if you remember back at the start of this, even before this, you know, certain people were telling you what was planned and that this was going to happen. And Jody says they're getting sprayed like crazy in Sydney, Parramatta. Yeah, we've been getting a fair bit of spray here. I think that it really affects your mood as well. So just be aware of your mood and how you're feeling. I've been extremely tired the last couple of days. Been sleeping in bed, laying in bed for like 12 hours at a time. Lots of good sleep, which is good. And I've been working hard, so that's probably got something to do with it. So yeah, I mean, we're back on again. Mask burn. Hey Zoe, thanks for tuning in. And as I said at the start of this is going to continue indefinitely. It doesn't matter how many cases or whatever, or contact tracing they get. Right now, it's not even about cases. Now it's about contact tracing and. You know, which is what it was always about. Yeah, it was always about the surveillance state and getting people to, you know, be surveilled and getting used to being surveilled. So, yeah, going back into the winter, the deep dark winter. Get ready for a bit of a ride on the COV19 train. It's going to get rougher and rougher, I think, as we progress into winter. And you know, the food restrictions are going to get a lot more because we're going to see we'll possibly get a lot more because we're going to see the cyber polygon, the supply chain shut down. We're going to see restrictions of how much people can buy, but even more than probably last year. Not definitely, but most likely. So it's going to be a really interesting year. I wonder how long it's going to take people to realise that we need to come together and get our dedicated great minds together in a place where we can work to end this tyranny. I wonder how long it's going to take people to wake up to the fact that we need to get people together, and that it requires resources, yeah? Just like a star burning, just like a candle burning, just like a light. Everything requires energy. Yep. For a star to shine, it requires energy to burn, right? Once that energy burns out, there's no more star, there's no more light. Once the candle burns out, there's no more light, there's no more flame, right? So we need to keep on feeding the energy. Yep. So, yeah, it's interesting times. I was doing a bit of gardening earlier. I just went and picked up some horse manure from a neighbour and was putting some horse manure around the trees and stuff in the garden. And then just as I finished, it started raining, so I had to go inside and put all my bowls on the floor and wherever the leaks in the roof are, because my roof leaks a bit. I think it's leaking a bit more this year because of the mice. And yeah, interesting times. No problems though, when all you've got to do is survive. So what are the new rules? What are the new rules. No more than 5 people in your homes. I wonder how they see when they try to bring in the QR codes for people's homes, right? Because that's what they want to do. They want to make sure that everyone has QR codes in their homes, yeah, to assist with the contact tracing. So they'll probably lift the restrictions on how many people you can have, as long as you have a QR code on your front door, right, and stuff like that. And people will go along with it. People will buy that stuff, and they'll happily go along with it, just so that they can be given back some of their freedoms that they already have, that they're surrendering, you know. So hey Wendy, thanks for tuning in. Hey Jason. Jason says Blues Brothers style megaphones on a car roof would work well to wake up the masses. I don't know, Jason. I think they're going to need more than a megaphone, and you know, whilst you've got that tyrannical system called the mainstream media blasting lies and tyranny into their ears and eyes, it's going to be hard to defeat that unless people are sharing information and doing their own videos and speaking and really getting information out there. But realistically, we really need to get a team of people together in a place where we can put this paperwork together and get this stuff sorted out. Because until that happens, you know, not much is going to change, right? Until you start holding these corporations accountable, right? And, you know, including the media, and really starting to charge people, then you're not going to see anything stop, because they're getting away with it scot-free, yeah? So we really need to get this team together. But until people have had enough of the tyranny, that might be another year or two, they're not going to see the value in doing that or putting towards that. So I guess we'll keep going through the motions, this Groundhog Day of this tyranny, and it'll just get worse and worse and worse. And until people see the value in putting a team together and really making a go of this. But until that day, just enjoy the Groundhog Day. Hey Susan, thanks for tuning in. Mel's got a good video on YouTube. There's plenty of YouTube on all that stuff. You know, it's all part of it. So, you know, I mean, the lockdowns are probably the best part of it. You know, they're the most minute part. You know, they're the softest part. They're just the psychological warfare of destroying people's, you know, will to live and go and see people, and keeping people in fear, right? Because you keep people in fear and they'll do whatever you tell them. Because people in fear are looking for an answer to get rid of their fear, and of course they're looking to the TV or the radio or whatever. So Samantha feels like she's been in a holding pattern for over a year and she's over it. Yeah, tell me about it. It's you know, and we've got plenty more years to come of this, so get used to it, make the most of it. At least I'm fortunate enough to be able to, you know, improve my property, improve the ark, you know, do a bit of work on the garden, and, you know, build what I need to build, because I was prepared for this to come. You know, I was preparing for this event for the last 4 years, you know. You can ask my mum and all that. They thought I was crazy, you know. I'm like, I just have to get everything here so that when it happens, then I'm ready and I can just do whatever I have to do here, you know. So I was fortunate to be able to see it coming and prepare and get ready well in advance. So but yeah, interesting times. I mean, even if we got a group of people and we really started pushing the law side of things and getting paperwork done and pressing charges and that sort of thing, you know, it will take a bit of time to process and go through. Like I said, the Nuremberg trials, they didn't just happen overnight. There's processes that were put in place well before the trials took place, you know, and these things take time. So as long as people procrastinate and don't see the value in putting a team of people together in a place where we can live together and have the right people and the right minds, and I do have a few good people in mind, all who have their own specific purpose, who I'm sure would be happy to live in this place I have in mind and do the work. Until we get that together, you know, we can just, this is going to continue as long as you allow it to continue, you know. So anyway, Samantha says, how much land have I got? 11.111 hectares. Where are those cement blocks, Samantha? Samantha says that there's a ton of cement blocks and roadworks. Where are they situated, please, Samantha? Angela says they change the laws to suit themselves if found to be unlawful. Well, what you've got to realise, Angela, is they're not laws, they're policies and offerings of contract to their employees and anyone who wishes to take up that contract, yeah, such as the citizens. So they're not laws, they're just policies and offers of policy. You know, so yeah, they're not laws, and they don't change any laws because they can't change laws like that. But yeah, they make rules for their employees of their corporation, yeah, which is what you know, and they offer those rules as they offer, because you're in a corporation, right? They can't just change the contract anytime they want. They have to make an offer, yeah, to change the contract. And then when people submit and acquiesce and just do what they're offered, it becomes the rule of the company, right? But they can't just change the rules because that would be a breach of the contract. So they have to make an offer of the change of the contract, which the people must accept by acquiescing and by doing what they choose, what they're saying to do or offering, doing what the government's offering. And as the people accept that, that becomes, by tacit agreement and by what's the word, by performance, that becomes a new rule of the company, being the Australian government, yeah, which is the corporation. So yeah, they can't change the law, but they can certainly make offers of policy, and then as the people accept those offers of policy, by playing out those offers of policy, they become the rules of the company. Jason says community is the way forward. Absolutely. Zoe says Mark Twain, it's easier to fool people than to convince them they have been fooled. Absolutely. You know, no one wants to believe that they've been lied to and that they've been fooled, that they would allow themselves to be fooled, you know. You know, it's so, yeah, and that's truth. And community is the way forward, you know, because in reality, you know, no one has a right to take away another person's right to contract, right? So no one has a right to basically destroy the corporation of Australia. But what you do have a right to do is to leave that corporation, not to contract with it anymore, and to start your own, yeah, or start your own community, so to speak, or Arc Century, or whatever it might be. Your own state or whatever you want to create, right? So you can't really rightfully destroy someone else's company, right? It's up to the people and the people contracting with that company to say, oh, I've had enough of this company, I don't want to work for you, I don't want to contract with you anymore, so I'm going to leave that company, the Australian government, and I'm going to go to another place, you know. And that's what it's about. So really, you can't stop their company from offering what they're offering, but you can operate outside it, hence the breakaway civilization, the breakaway communities and that sort of thing. And there's nothing they can do about that, yeah, because everyone has a right to contract or not to contract. So that's how it works. I don't know where Curra is, Mel. Hang on a minute. Just past Curra, 20 minutes north of Gympie. Okay. Is that near the border, or where's that? That's New South Wales, isn't it? Queensland. Yes, that's right, Julian, it's back. I told you it was going to come back this winter. So we really should have had this team together when I first mentioned it. We should have been working to put this team together so that, you know, we can pull people out of that, and possibly we can pull people into the Ark Sanctuary, the jurisdiction of the Ark, as its own nation, as its own state, which gives people a different set of rights than if they're a part of the Corporation of Australia. You know, that's another way to look at things. You know, treating with other nations, other sovereign nations, treating with other, you know, sovereign nations, and then once you treaty with other nations, you have a right under federal law to, you know, to deliver mail, to deliver post, so you have a right to travel between those nations. So if I'm to treaty with a nation up in what they call Queensland, but obviously their nation wouldn't be in Queensland, but up in that area, and we had a treaty, we could then travel between each other, between ourselves, as a part of that treaty, which couldn't be thwarted or stopped by any corporation, right? Because it's a different set of rules and a different jurisdiction and a different set of laws. Yep. So all these things to come. So making the breakaway civilization is the only way forward, I think. I mean, you can all protest and do all that sort of nonsense, but I don't think it's going to get you very far. It might stop them from doing one policy, you know, or it might stop them from doing, you know, saying one thing, but they're going to get you another way. Like, this isn't going to end until basically the corporation is finished, you know, or which will probably not happen for quite a while until people get out of that system and come to a different system. So yeah, interesting times. Samantha's keen to talk with anyone who wants to build a breakaway civilization. Where are you, Samantha? Are you up near Gympie, are you? I'm building, I've got my own nation here. I've got the Ark Sanctuary. So I'm literally building my own breakaway civilization. And, you know, we've got our permanent population. We've got Dusty and Star and me and a couple of others who are, you know, subjects of the Ark. So, yeah, certainly worthwhile doing. Bruce Highway, rightio, Queensland. Yeah, so you can, you know, they're going to start shutting down the borders to people who don't get the jab and that sort of thing. That's all on the cards. So they're basically Australia will no longer be a one country. It will be a break-up of different states, you know, with borders, because under the Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth, you know, they can't interfere with interstate travel, right? They can't put a fee on it. They can't tax it. They can't do anything to it. So, you know, but they're not acting within the Constitution because they're a corporation. They've got their own constitution and they make their own rules, right? They're not actually the Commonwealth of Australia de jure. So, you know, and the subjects of that corporation are subject to the rules of the corporation. Adam says it's just to extend the state of emergency in Victoria. Well, they're going to keep doing that for eternity, you know, from the new strains and everything, you know, the strains of strains of strains. And isn't it funny how, like, the flu kind of disappeared out the back curtain and then onto the stage came the COVID-19 just out of nowhere? And yeah, anyway, people are still buying into it. They still love the theatre. So they're interesting times. Are you in the Mornington Peninsula, or are you saying Samantha? You're not too far from here. So, yeah, anyway. Hope everyone's enjoying their taste of the Great Reset and their New World Order tyranny. And getting used to it. Well, hang on, I've got to move the bowl. It's just leaking on the floor. The roof's leaking. So I'd love to put more time into studying this stuff, the law and the legislation, all that, to help people out. But when the roof's leaking and you've got to keep the fire going and heat up water on the stove, and you know, there's too much stuff to do in my own country, in my own civilization, to worry about someone else's, you know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, beautiful rainy day. Looks like it's kind of set in for a while. So I don't really have much else to say. But yeah, they'll probably use this winter as the precursor or the real excuse to bring in the jab passports and that sort of thing. So you can see over this winter it's probably really going to ramp up a lot, and just be prepared for that. So I guess in a couple of years, when people have had enough, they might be interested in putting a team together and trying to end this nonsense. But until that time, enjoy the shit show. That is your life, you know. Yeah, exactly right, Jace. Like carting water, heating water, even just to do the dishes, you know, is a mission in itself. And then when it rains and it's like leaking, you got to sort of put all your stuff away, and you know, it's just and that's if you've got power, if you've got sun. If you haven't got sun for a few days because of the clouds, well, you don't have power to do anything. So everything takes a lot longer, you know. It takes a lot more time just to live and try and survive, basically, when you're off the grid, which is not a problem. It's not a problem if all you're doing is living, and you don't have to, or you don't, you know, you're not trying to assist in one of the biggest tyrannies ever known to man. But when you're trying to assist in that sort of thing, and trying to sort of sort out your finances, and trying to get prepared for what's coming, and trying to work on the land, and trying to cook food, and trying to, you know, get food, and all these, and look after the animals, you know, like, there's really not much time for paperwork and that sort of nonsense when you've really got to survive, you know. So, which I don't mind. I don't mind at all, you know. It's nice, as long as I don't have to deal with any paperwork. Yeah, raising kids, you know, that's all right off the grid too. That's not a problem. Like, you know, you get used to living off the grid and it's no problem. And even raising kids, you know, you wouldn't want to put them in those government indoctrination camps. You'd just be completely away from that entire system. You shouldn't have them in there anyway. It's dangerous to have your children in there at this point in time. But, you know, people are going to do what they want. Yeah, even raising kids off grid, like, when all you've got to do is sort of survive, it's not bad, and it's nice, and it's grounding, and it brings you back to reality, you know, of how life is, you know, without all the modern comforts and all that stuff that sort of makes our life even harder, or enslaves us. But yeah, it's just when you're trying to, you know you've got a lot of paperwork, and you know you've got a lot of knowledge and information that could assist when put together with other people, you know, it's kind of stressful knowing that you've got that know-how and information, but you can't really do anything with it because you're kind of kept occupied, you know, your body and your mind's occupied by just surviving and all that sort of stuff. Again, which isn't a problem. So, hey Kathy. Oh, the wind's picking up. It's going to blow over in a second. Yeah, the wind's picking up here. Yeah, I think September we can expect a really interesting month. Obviously you've got to sort of slowly ramp it up because otherwise people will twig. I was listening to the radio earlier and they're just regurgitating this tyrannical nonsense. So they're no good. But yeah, it'd be good if you got some truth tellers on the radio, you know, if you had like someone had a radio station, you know, those underground radio stations that actually reach a lot of people. Like, even if people were to ring up the radio stations and live radio stations and you know, ask them relevant questions and put it to them what's happening, you know. The people don't really do that, so yeah. The clouds are moving fast now. Yeah, here comes the wind. Apparently there's severe weather warnings, so I hope my roof doesn't get blown off, because then I'd have a real leak problem. Let me give you a look outside here. Don't know if you can see the rain much. There's Woodhenge, our wood circle. Yeah, it's getting pretty wet, you can see. But we like the rain. The rain brings water. Water is life, you know. Yeah, I think people need to look at the delegation of powers, you know. The delegation of powers and how far they extend, you know, and all that sort of stuff, because that's where you get into the nitty gritty of it, yeah. And the language used in the legislation, and is the legislation passed, is all that stuff valid, or how does it apply, you know, and is it in excess of delegated powers, right? Because the delegated powers can't then again be delegated and cannot exceed the initial delegated power, right? So I can't give a right to a minister that I don't have, you know. I can't give him the power to make rules on someone else, which I can't do to someone else, you know what I mean? It doesn't exist. So, you know, I think they're well in excess of their, or ultra vires, they're well in excess of their delegated powers, but anyway, might be worthwhile someone looking into that, you know. And yeah, that's about it. What are you doing, Starry? What are you doing, Push Push? Starry? Say hello, Starry. Starry. Star. Oh, Push Push. Hello. How you doing, miss? You can see the bowl on the floor. There's Dusty over there. Dusty's taking it easy, as usual. Miss Push Push. What are you doing, Starry? What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Yeah, so that's about it anyway. Thanks for watching. Please share. And yeah, take care out there. Don't live in fear. Don't buy into the nonsense. And you know, if you claim you have rights, just exercise them, right? Just live your life, and that's it. So thanks for watching. Many blessings from the Ark. Sending love from me and Dusty and Star. Talk soon. Oops.